As we begin chapter 2, we will discuss polynomial functions, but one of the things we need to know how to do is solve quadratics. So we're going to learn how to solve quadratics by graphing, by factoring, completing the square, and the quadratic formula. The first one, though, we're just going to look at the basics of graphing. We're not going to go through the entire process of it. Given the graph, what are the solutions? What are we looking for here? We locate the zeros, which are our solutions. This is where the graph crosses the x-axis. And as we look at those points, where do they intersect? Where does the graph intersect the x-axis? This one is at 4, 0. And this one's at negative 2, 0. So your solutions of the graph would be at negative 2, 4. So when x is 0, when y is 0, what is x? And that's what you're looking for. So that's really all we're going to do with graphing. Just wanted to give you the visual as to what it is that you're solving for when you solve a polynomial, or in this case, very specific, a quadratic. The second method is solved by factoring. This is something you guys have worked on throughout your years of algebra. We want to set the equation equal to 0. Once again, we're saying y is equal to 0. We want to then factor it. Use something called the zero product property. And the zero product property states that if two things are being multiplied to give you 0, so if a times b is 0, then a must be equal to 0 or b must equal 0. And so we use that in step number 3, and then the last one is to solve those factors and get our solution. So let's just practice a couple of these. First one, you need to subtract the 5x squared to the other side, so it'll be 2x cubed minus 5x squared plus 3x. And not all of these are quadratics, but they all can be factored. First one, you always check for GCF. This one has a factor of x, so we'll factor that out. And then you want to try to factor the quadratic. And if I'm telling you, you have to solve by factoring, they're all going to be able to be factored. So I just use the guess and check method. If you need additional help on solving by factoring, we can talk in class. 2x squared. The only way you can get 2x squared is to be 2x times x. Then I'm looking at factors of 3. What are factors of 3? 3 and 1. So we guess in terms of what that would be. I'm going to put this 3 here and the 1 here. And since my middle term is negative and my last term is positive, then I have to have 2 negatives. And then I just check this. Does that make sense? If I distribute that out, that would be 2x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 3. And then there's my middle term of negative 5x. So that looks like it works. And then I set my factors equal to 0. And once again, in this case, I have 3 factors: x equals 0, 2x minus 3 equals 0, and x minus 1 equals 0. And so the first one solved for. The second one, you add 3 divided by 2. Next one, you add 1. So we have 3 solutions. X equals, and I always put them in order, so 0, 1, and 3 halves. And so those are your solution. In this case, this is a cubic. You have a degree of 3, so you have 3 solutions. On the next one, this is quadratic in form. It means you factor it like a quadratic, but because it has an x to the 4th, it's not exactly a quadratic. X to the 4th, to get x to the 4th, you get x squared times x squared. And then you ask yourself, what are factors of negative 36 that are going to give you negative 5? So it would be x minus 9 and x squared plus 4. And that'll give you a middle term of negative 5x squared. Now, these are both quadratics again. Now this one, the first one can't be factored. The second one can. It's a difference of squares, so we can factor it again. And then we can set those factors equal to 0. X squared plus 4 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. Subtract the 4 to the other side. Take the square root of both sides. The square root of negative 4 is plus or minus 2i. Add 3. Subtract 3. And on this one, we get a total of 4 answers. Once again, your degree is 4. And on the third one, once again, you want to set it equal to 0 because what you're saying is the y value is 0. What is x when y is 0? And then this one is a difference of squares. So you got 2x minus 7, 2x plus 7. Set your factors once again equal to 0. And solve. Let's try to erase that. Fix all that again. So x equals 7 halves and x equals negative 7 halves. So negative 7 halves and positive 7 halves. And if you graph these, you'll see this is where they are going to cross the x-axis. So once again, we might talk about that in class and kind of show some of the graphing calculator stuff on this. But so those are your solutions. This one had 2 solutions. Your degree was 2. So that's solved by factoring. One of the easier methods, as long as you can factor it, but we know you can't factor everything, so there's got to be other things along the way that we can use to solve. And the next one is solved by completing the square. This one works well when it's set up for you.